Okay, so today I am making some kombucha. Just starting it off, I already have a SCOBY, so all I'm doing is preparing the sugary tea for it to ferment. So what I need here is I've got a pot, I've got sugar, I've got 4 green tea bags and 1 black tea bag, and then filtered water. It's important to use filtered water just because that will not have the chlorine or chloramine, depending on your water supply, that can mess up the bacteria. So, for starters, I'm going to measure out, this is to make 4 liters of kombucha. I'm going to give it 200 grams of sugar. Woohoo! That was a pretty good guess there. Just a little bit more, get it up around 200. Then, add my water. I do somewhere just over 1.5 liters for this first part, just so it will dissolve in the water. I'm going to crank that up on high. And then the rest of it, once this kind of cools down a little bit, I'll add some cooled water, some cool filtered water to it when I actually add it in with the SCOBY. So I'm going to take these tea bags and I'm just going to kind of tuck them down so that they are wet. And I'm going to heat up here. I'm not going to bring it to a boil, but I'm just going to get close. So I'm going to let this heat up here. Let's take a little peek here. See, it's starting to heat up. I like to take the tea bags and just clip them up here and then leave them outside the lid. That makes it really easy to make sure that the tea bags aren't going to completely fall. Makes it easy to extract them once you're ready to. I'm just using this T&T organic green tea and black tea blend. Any kind of tea bags would work. I think organic sounds better, especially when you're thinking about the fact that you're adding bacteria to this to do its thing. Whether this stuff is really organic or not, I don't know, but it makes me feel better. So I'm going to let this heat up a little bit more, and this is really just, again, to dissolve the sugar and to kind of let these tea bags steep. I don't want to bring it to a boil or let it get super hot, just because then you can extract probably some more you know, of the harsher tasting compounds out of the tea bags, because it is going to sit like this for several hours this afternoon. I'm just going to lid this again here for a wee bit. Okay, we're almost ready. The sugar's almost dissolved, and that's going to be the food source for the bacteria, lactobacillus, acetobacter, all that fun stuff, as it's fermenting and souring, and just everything that's in that SCOBY. And the tea itself is going to provide, I'm just going to turn that off. The tea itself is going to provide important nutrients and whatnot, as well as, you know, flavor and fun stuff like that. So I'd say this is probably hot enough now. It's steaming decently, but it's not, definitely not at a boil. So I'm just going to leave these tea bags in here to steep. I'm going to lid it up so nothing falls in there, and just shove it at the back of the stovetop for now, and then I'll come back later tonight and deal with it. Alright, so this kombucha tea here has cooled down significantly. I've got some extra water here just to top up, and I've got my primary fermenter, which is all fun and nasty on the inside. Obviously been quite a while since that's been cleaned, but it's okay because it is all good time bugs. You can see I've got my SCOBY in there. That bad girl's been around for several years. Just keep kind of peeling it apart. I'm just going to remove my super fancy lid cloth there. Alright, so we got the SCOBY down in there. And in just a second here, I'm going to pour everything in. Alright, take out that lid. Just pull out these tea bags. That's why I like that clip on there. I can just easily remove those. I'll get this tea. Pour it in. And I'll top it up with this water out of this flask. Yeah, right about there. Perfect. So that will work for that. I'm just going to pop the lid back on. That'll allow it to breathe. I'll relabel this, give it about 8 or 9 days or so, and then it'll be ready for secondary fermentation. So here's the primary fermenter of kombucha, just hanging out in a kitchen cabinet here. I find that it's a good temperature in here. It usually ferments in, like I said, about 8 or 9 days. Sometimes I push it to 10, just depending on how sour I want it. You can see I relabeled, that's just a piece of white vinyl tape on there. I use a dry erase marker just to put the date where I put it on there so that I don't forget when it initially started. Keeps me honest. So that's it. Keep her at 11.